in welcoming our first speaker from Copperbelt Energy Corporation Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Owen Silavwe, a visionary leader with over 26 years of experience in energy infrastructure and market operation and the helm of a $1 billion+ company by market capitalization on the Lusaka Securities Exchange, and a pioneer in the fiber sector when it comes to energy management. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Mr. Owen Silavwe.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to this special session focusing on Zambia. And coming obviously from the power sector, I just want to share a few things that as private sector we see in Zambia. I think a case has been made because we've had a few Zambian speakers, starting with the president himself, who delivered a keynote address. And I think Zambia at the moment, as everybody knows, is one of those good stories in this part of the world. And I think it's a country that is showing a lot of ambition. I think it's a country that is improving the environment. It's a country that continues to further attract the private sector. And I think I want to present part of that evidence. And I know some of us have obviously heard about some of the challenges. When I look across the various sectors of the economy, I think what we see is a lot of ambition from governments. And I think that's important in terms of the private sector. If you combine ambition as well as a very good business environment and particular ambition from the government, I think that's what the private sector is really looking for. And I think being at a mining Indaba, one of the ambitions that we are all very familiar with is the 3 million metric tons of copper output by 2031, 2032. And I think it's exciting. It obviously looks like a big challenge. We've taken steps towards that, but I think in a lot of people's minds, it still looks like something that's insurmountable. But I think we need to have belief. We need to work on it. And one of the things that I want to talk about here is what exactly does this mean from a power perspective. And I think when you look at the power sector itself, the ambition has been set from a country perspective because an integrated resource plan has been done. So when we look at that integrated resource plan, what are we talking about? So what it basically says is that if we need to achieve these 3 million metric tons by 2032, then we obviously need to accelerate our development of the power sector. We need new generation. We need new transmission assets. We need new distribution assets. And when you just look at the key things, which is the generation side of things, the transmission infrastructure, what it basically says is that by 2030, we need to invest just under $12 billion. That, of course, is a lot of money. If you look at the time that we're talking about, where do we find the $11.6 billion that we need to basically bring in 10,000 megawatts or 10 gigawatts? So the country needs to bring in 10 gigawatts by 2030 in order to be able to support this ambition of 3 million metric tons. And I think for those investors who are excited about the power sector, and I think as we know, no economy can develop without power. So obviously that is a very critical ingredient for us to be able to move our economy forward. to be able to support all these ambitious programs that we're talking about in the various sectors of the economy. And indeed, that's why a company like ours, Copperbelt Energy Corporation, comes in. Talking about the general environment from a sort of power sector perspective, what have we seen in Zambia as private sector? There's obviously a further opening up of the sector. And I think when I look across the whole region, if you look at the Southern African power pool, you look at SADC, Zambia obviously is leading in as far as further liberalizing the energy sector. So we've got open access policy that has already been adopted as a country. And what that has done, I think even here, I see a lot of the power traders in Zambia, the investors on the generation side, the IPPs. I see people that, want to play in various subsectors within the electricity sector. So what that obviously is doing is pooling resources, and it's obviously sharing risk amongst the various players, and it obviously encourages everybody to look at the country that Zambia is. We used to talk about tariffs being inadequate or tariffs being too low to support investments. What have we seen? So we've seen the tariffs begin to move upwards. Obviously, part of the challenge that the country has gone through, which is the supply gap. In the last 2 or 3 years, Zambia has been experiencing this supply gap. But I think what the supply gap has actually done, I think it's opened up the minds of everybody in the country to basically say, look, there is an opportunity here. This is a problem, it's a challenge, and it's obviously caused a lot of pain. But what are we beginning to see? We're beginning to see solutions coming up. We're beginning to see more people willing to invest in various technologies in order to make sure that we achieve these 10 gigawatts going forward. So I think from a private sector perspective, what I want to do here is to encourage everybody that there are very good opportunities in Zambia in the power sector. The need for power is huge. I'm talking about 10,000 gigawatts of power required by 2030. Today, the country generates about 3 gigawatts. So we need to move from 3 gigawatts or just below 4 gigawatts, about 3.8 gigawatts. So we need to move from 3.8 gigawatts to 10 gigawatts. So when you look at that, obviously the opportunity is huge. We need to support the various ambitions that the government is driving, be it in mining, be it in agriculture, be it in ICT, and there lies the opportunity. I think I'll end here. Thank you so much.